Hello, friends, and welcome to Worldbuild with us, the podcast where we create fantastical worlds with help from you, our listeners. My name is Rob Hilferty, and I'm here with my co-hosts Daniel Quinn, except he's not here, with my co-hosts Courtney Staples and C.R. Rowanson. You might notice that the audio quality for me, much better. I'm back. I've got my stuff. I'm officially all moved in, and I'm ready to jam. Clark, so glad to have you on. Courtney, as always, just can't wait for you to add some blood sacrifice.
Always.
And then you put Courtney and I in the same discussion. It's just gonna be grim.
There's blood all over the walls.
Yeah, no, like I can. So we're adding a spot to our World Build with Us bingo. Body horror is Clark's square, for sure. Anything that has anything where like the skin stretches a little bit too much or is repurposed in some way to be horrifying, that's Clark, and that is absolutely his bingo square.
Or if you just look at the thing and there are more pieces than you expected, or it's just not shaped or moving the way you would want it to. Yeah.
It's like a person, exactly. but it's a bit wrong. Yeah.
On today's episode, you can tell there's good vibes in the air, not just because I'm settled and I actually have a good microphone again, but because every world building jam session is always so chill, good vibes. Everyone's excited. Clark, this is your first time doing a full world building jam with us, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So for your sake and for new listeners who don't know what a full world building jam session is, normally for this podcast, we have a setting prompt and, we kind of go through that and we go through tenets and we create this world based on what the tenets and the setting suggests. This time we just roll dice. There are genres, there's themes, and there's things that we're focusing on along with twists. And with all of that, we just build a setting really quick, really fast. We do like 2 to 3 of those for one of these world building jams. We've had some really, really great ones. The Halloween one that we had a while back is really great. The most recent, I would say every world building jam that we've done always elicits a banger. So go back, listen to those world building jams. And well, actually don't do that. Listen to this one first, because you're already listening to it. I'm just giving you extra steps, right? So let's just jump right into it and get to this world building jam right after the shilling, of course, which means, oh God, we got a shill. Okay. Worldbuildwithus.com. That's our website. Go there, submit a prompt. Guess what? We build it for you. Like I've been talking about. Twitter at Let's World Build. That's us on Twitter. We've got a Discord. Come join us. Come chat with us. We've also got a Patreon. Give us money for sweet, sweet Patreon goodies, all that good stuff. Clark, plug your stuff. Go ahead, quick. I put you on the spot. Go.
All right. You can find my stuff at crrowanson.com or on YouTube as The Magic Engineer. I do have some books on Amazon. The best way to find those, honestly, is just to dig a little bit through my website or just watch all of my videos on YouTube and you'll get lots of references to it.
Yeah. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good shit. Clark, you got your shilling out of the way. Courtney, you don't shill anything on this because that's all it is. We're getting right into it. Bam. Fuck that shilling part. Let's go.
Pain is past. Now we can move forward.
Exactly. Advertising is the mind killer. Let's see. Where is it? There you go. D20. All right. So with all of that out the way, let's go ahead and roll a D20 to figure out the first genre that we're going to be rolling with today, which is we've got cyberpunk. Okay. Nice and simple. The theme for this cyberpunk tale that we're going to be digging into is curses. Ooh, that's interesting already. Yeah. And the first thing that we're going to be focusing on today is a moment of defeat. So, Clark, you've never done a jam with us before. We've got cyberpunk. Curses is the theme. And the first thing that we're focusing on is a moment of defeat. So where does your brain go besides a whole bunch of neon?
Well, honestly, the first thing that comes up is the term that pops into my head is the curse of technology. I
Mhm.
don't quite know what that means, but there's something there's something there about the loss of like legacy information and just the dependency and reliance on. I guess that's kind of what my brain is talking about. Is the curse of technology is that you get to the point where you can't go without the technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can tell I've been in a super happy place lately dealing with all of the digital clutter and whatnot, since that's where my brain goes immediately.
I'm going to immediately plug Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, which I support reading and ignoring all of, because you've got to engage with the digital stuff, and it's unfortunate, but you can do so in a very smart way. So would throw that out there. Worth the listen, worth the read, all that good stuff. Support your locals or go to Audible and chill it out. That's fine too.
It's funny you mentioned that because that's actually why I've been talking about that with Rachel. She's been reading that. So,
hey, really?
Yeah. So we've been having lots of conversations on that stuff.
It's an interesting read, for sure. Yeah.
What does it advocate for?
Exactly what it sounds like. Digital minimalism is like gut all that shit from your life and basically break it down into weekly chunks of like 20 minutes per app, basically.
Oh, damn.
That's a very succinct thing.
The general thing Rachel and I have been talking about with that is just the idea of if the tool doesn't enhance the things that make you happy or help you enable you to pursue the things that make you happy, maybe you don't need it. Or maybe do less of it. But that's where my brain goes, is something about the curse of technology. Doesn't necessarily need to be viruses, but that can be something about how some of the societies or even just some of the classes are realizing how trapped they have become by their own use of technology.
I like that. I like that quite a bit, actually. When I hear it now, I'm not sure if this is better for the setting or if it's better for a smaller scale story within a setting. However, I'm thinking of a piece of ice which infects hackers and then bars them from using cyberspace once they've been afflicted by it. So ice is like an antivirus program. And this is like the ultimate ice that locks them out of everything. And what that would do, I mean, obviously huge moment of defeat there. But maybe this is like, if we wanted to bring it to a world setting, maybe that's like the start of a virus that causes almost everyone to be locked out of cyberspace and like cybernetic parts and stuff like that.
Oh man.
Right?
My mind had gone to planned obsolescence, actually, which I'm wondering if that could play a role in this ice that's screwing up everything. Like, what if it's a purposeful thing that's being done by corporations to get people to invest more in their technology or like subscribe for better protection or what have you, that sort of thing.
It's like ransomware, but built in.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay. How does that function? Oh, actually, I love that a lot, because if we combine those two ideas together, this piece of ice infects like pieces, like let's say that you have cybernetic eyes, like all you see is pay X amount of money to remove this. Your eyes literally don't function, or it's like a time lock thing. That's actually a really interesting way to do it. And of course, another mark on the bingo card, capitalism is the villain, because always, yes, true.
Well, it's cyberpunk. That's like
that's
also true.
Basically part of
the fundamental part of cyberpunk is corporations.
Yes, Clark, but also it's us. Like it's just a part of like it's just
that is true. But I'm going to blame it on the genre. Genre
trappings. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but no, like time gated cybernetic parts that are a result of something. That's horrifying. Yeah. And I love the idea that this is suddenly like a widespread panic amongst the setting,
Yeah. No, this is okay. This is already pretty cool. Another thing, depending on how we wanted to go, if we wanted to lean into that bingo square, there could be subscription services to your cybernetic parts. Uh, but specifically where I was thinking is I was trying to think of, I like the ice in terms of there being some kind of cursed tech. And this might be where my brain is going, is I was thinking it would be interesting if there are people who are walking around that you can just tell it's like, oh, they're cursed. They got infected, whether that curse means that they are now like completely manipulated or in the control of a specific company or something like that.
Like their body becomes advertising.
Yeah, it's something about the software or even their parts where it's like that piece of tech is wrong, and now actually it could just be an organization that was built up to take care of these cursed individuals, whether it itself got warped and corrupted or not. But just the idea of some of it gets twisted somehow, and it's recognizable, and they are almost a kind of, and at least some places there's kind of factions or groups or organizations where these people cluster.
I really want to not ignore the advertising part of what Courtney just said, because the idea that you're marked, like if you're a person and you're like decked out in corporate advertising, guess what? You're going to fall into a group real fast, Clark. You know, like one, that's a beacon to others that you're a marked individual. Stay the hell away. Two, it looks like, oh, like to corporations, it's like, that's just free advertising, you know, and it's also like doing its good part of like corporate intimidation. It's like, oh, they fucked with the Zaibatsu. You don't want to do that, you know? And three, like, oh, bounty hunters now have a clear individual who they can hunt down. Right.
They're like repo men, essentially. Like,
it's like, oh, you fucked with the Zaibatsu?
Parts.
All right, cool. I'm going to see what your, you know, what the bounty on your head is. And it's like a quick and easy, like, oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, one of the curses could almost be that you just lose control over some of the display space on or around your body.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Basically anything cybernetic, like you're hacked. Or perhaps even worse is you can't stop screaming about how great the new X-Eyes, you know, model ZT7500 eyes are. You know, like you can't help but tell everyone you know. And it could be kind of an unsettling thing.
It's like the Truman Show, but cyberpunk.
Yeah. And completely uncontrolled. You know, like imagine like, that you're just talking normally and all of a sudden you just spout word salad or like you spout an advertisement and like you literally can't help it. And like your eyes are like shocked and horrified and like other people around you are like, oh, you're marked. You're fucked. Get out of here. You know?
Yeah.
Because you know what you guys need is you need the ultra micromillimeter wave scanning so you can tell who around you is armed and who isn't.
Yeah. From Zaibatsu Corp.
From Zaibatsu Court. Security in eyesight.
Oh, God. Okay.
This is horrifying.
See, all right. We're creating a micro setting here. We're basically going to create Megacity 1 / Neo Tokyo or something like that. Like it's an individual city. Where do we want that city to be?
In terms of, are we dealing with an Earth situation? Are you talking about terrain?
That's exactly why I'm asking you guys. Where I'm asking you leading questions and like forcing you, and they're fairly open ended. You know, if you want to be in like, all right, cool, it's in fucking like Planet X9, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It could be also in Germany. You know, I don't know where do you want it to be?
Okay, so there is a setting that I think is massively underrated and underused at this time. It was used a lot during some of the boom of sci-fi. But that is just generation ships. I love the idea of generation ships. So the city we're building could just be one of many generation ships.
For those of us who are not familiar, Clark, can you tell us what a generation ship is?
Absolutely. So the concept behind generation ships is they are a spaceship, usually in settings where faster than light travel isn't a possibility, where they have built it up to be a self-sustaining kind of ecosystem so that in theory, by the time you reach the destination, you have gone through multiple generations of inhabitants. So you will have generations of people living, growing, and dying on this ship as they proceed towards their destination. And it doesn't have to stay that way. I kind of use it as a catch-all term in my head for those sorts of designs where the ship is just a self-sustaining ecosystem. So you could end up with things where you have like weird asteroid field nomads or something like that, because by their nature, generally, if you do true generation ships, they're not really going to encounter anybody else because everybody has gone on their own course.
Gotcha.
But that's what I'm talking about. Basically, it's a self-sustaining fabricated world.
Okay. Love that. I'm going to tie that in to what we've been talking about. This generation ship is essentially marooned. Like its thrusters are off. It is drifting in a general direction, but it cannot move. In a moment of defeat, it is now a giant blinking advertisement for a corporation that no longer exists. But everyone there, guess what? They're still stuck with it. And that ice still exists and is affecting people within that generation ship. How do we feel about that concept?
I like that, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And it does beg the question of like, what is the defeat from? And it could have been it could have been part of like an intergalactic like hostile takeover. So it was actual corporations who were fighting with each other, and they are just one of the side products that has been kind of crippled as a result of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love that.
They were like gobbled up by some monopoly type thing, but then sort of just ignored or forgotten about. Like, we acquired them, but we don't really give a shit about them anymore. So we're just going to shut off their engines and stop paying for it.
They used to be Exogen, and now it's controlled by Zycorp. And Zycorp doesn't care about the destination they were going to. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not worth the resources anymore.
Oh, that's horrifying on so many levels.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. We've got a solid concept here. We need to roll a twist and figure out what's gonna get all twisty here. So the twist that we're rolling with is attach the whole thing to a major franchise.
Huh.
So we've got Cyberpunk. I don't want to add the obvious one, Cyberpunk 2020, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What can we do to add in a little Cyberpunk to another larger sci-fi world? What can we do? What makes sense here?
Alien comes to mind initially with like
Weyland-Yutani. Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, my brain actually jumps to Snow Crash.
Oh yeah.
By Neil Stephenson.
I'm not really familiar with that. I haven't actually read it.
I'm not a big fan, frankly.
I really like Snow Crash.
It was like really over the top when I read it, and I was like not ready for that. I might enjoy it now, like with the concept of like what's the bad guy's name? His name's like Raven, and he rides around with a nuclear bomb in his motorcycle, and it's like it's so dumb. Like, I think that I might enjoy it now with like the idea that like, yes, it's dumb and that's okay.
The other part of it is I had tried to read Neuromancer, and I was just like, this feels like way too pretentious and way too like trying to be super, super into all of these details and metaphorical. And I'm just like, I'm bored. And then I jumped.
See, I fucking love Neuromancer.
Yeah,
so like we're
so
definitely on the opposite ends of the spectrum. That's awesome. Yeah.
But yes, Snow Crash starts with the chapter, like the first part of the first chapter is him talking about his car and how awesome it is because he's a pizza delivery guy and pizza is a major industry.
It's so ridiculous. Like, yeah, I can definitely see it. But can we really attach it to Snow Crash? Is that like large enough? I mean, I was thinking like Star Wars or some dumb.
I was just thinking you could just like grab one of the corporation names. Like it could be. This place was originally part of Mr. Lee's New Hong Kong or something like that. But that would really be in name only. If we wanted to pull in more of the setting stuff, we'd probably want to steal from some other things as well, or just ignore Snow Crash altogether.
Well, okay. So Clark's got Snow Crash. Courtney says Alien. What about Alien? Because the thing about Alien is the aliens. Right? Like, how can we incorporate the rest of that setting into it while also having it feel like the Alien franchise?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that like came to mind with it was the fact that capitalism is such an integral part of the plots. Like in the first movie, the crew is sent to this planet to bring back this creature at whatever cost, even if it just means the entire crew is killed. And that's hidden from the crew, but obviously the corporation knows exactly what they're doing. So like that sort of mindset.
Aliens does that as well, by the way. I would be remiss to ignore one of the best sequels of all time. So
yes.
But okay. So this way station, right? Like that we have this generation ship. How does it feel like it's in the alien universe with all this cyberpunk and without the aliens?
Yeah, I feel like
we can't just slap a Weyland-Yutani sticker on it and call it part of a major movie franchise.
I agree. I would rather go in a different direction, I think, because I almost want to keep this setting like not like lighthearted, but not like fucking xenomorphs rampaging through, like busting through people's chests.
Okay, surprising face turn from Courtney. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah,
like I said, not really lighthearted, but not like full on like space horror, I guess.
What if we tied it into the Altered Carbon universe?
I know nothing about that series, so let's do it.
Okay.
I watched the first season of the show, and it's pretty edgy, but I'm all for going in that direction. Yeah.
Oh, I love the first season. I love the first season so much. Some of the main features which we could mess with to make it fit a little better, and that could be part of this isolation and this kind of cursed area. But they have developed what they call cortical stacks, which is it's a chip that is installed in the spinal cord that holds your personality, holds who you are. And that means you can be uploaded into other bodies, and bodies just become called sleeves.
Sleeves, yes. I know that from Eclipse Phase, actually.
Oh, okay.
Great RPG, by the way. If you're into sci-fi horror, oh my God, that's a good one.
Eclipse Phase, huh?
Oh, Clark, if you're not familiar with Eclipse Phase, go read the fiction of it, and you'll be like, oh, I'm in. Like it's so up your alley, like it's not even funny.
I will check it out. So part of what I was thinking there is like corporations are a big thing. There are people the rich and wealthy, lot of stratification, lots and lots of cyberpunk themes in Altered Carbon, because people who can afford it basically can live forever because they can do cloud hosting for their personality.
Yeah.
So that even if their stack gets destroyed, they have a downloaded version that they can reload, and they're called
interesting.
They're referred to as the Meths, short for Methuselahs.
Gotcha.
But anyway, just that setting. So it could be a kind of thing where communication can still pass through this place, but it's not enough bandwidth to actually port personalities. Ooh. It's far enough out of the way that people can't get to it easily. Because I don't remember if there is much faster than light travel in that series or not. I think most of the intergalactic travel is done via personality casting. So I think their faster than light travel is just information.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to take that concept and I'm going to add the Eagles to it and say that our generation ship that we have here is basically the Hotel California, where you can never leave. Like you can come anytime you want, but you can never leave. And that's what this generation ship is like. So you can have the Meths kind of like coming through the cloud, and they'll have a sleeve waiting for them, but they cannot leave once they've got there. It's basically like a Bermuda Triangle situation.
Oh, what if part of the purpose of the ship was like a cloud server type thing, and it was some like startup that was competing with other corporations, and it got bought out and then abandoned. So now you have these like handful or a number of like very wealthy individuals who are like saved on this server, but they can't go anywhere, so they're just
absolutely
stuck there.
And it doesn't have to be intentional, or at least not like a single person doing something terrible. We talked about some of the planned obsolescence. It could be a compatibility issue where they are no longer able to like send out. So it's just a black hole where they're constantly receiving stuff or occasionally receiving stuff when things get routed wrong or something like that.
Love that. And mind you, when you say it's a hostile takeover, I imagine that what happened where they just basically bought the company and the ship, turned it into a big advertisement, and then fucked it all to hell with the ICE program. That was completely intentional. It's like, I'll show you to try and be a rival in my corporate space. Like, get the hell out of here. Oh, man.
And we could go either way, and there could be multiple layers and different opinions about that, because My day job, I do project management with the software development team. So anytime you try and do adjustments and uploads and modifications, some things just break. And this may have just been one that broke and they didn't care enough to fix it.
Or like they sent some interns to fix it and they're like, you guys can handle it, right? And didn't go over so well.
Honestly, they might leave it alone altogether because it's just like, we don't care about the destination. These people aren't dying. So what moral stricture do we have to resolve this?
Yeah.
They'll get to their destination eventually due to like inertia in space, right?
Right.
So it's like, it's fine.
There's nothing in the terms of service preventing this.
And the people who are living there right now would be dead by the time they get there anyway. It's a
they
generation
knew what they were signing up for. Exactly.
If they read the 500 pages of terms of use, then they would have known that this was in there.
Legally and morally, they don't actually have a reason that they have to fix the ship.
Read the EULA, assholes. Oh my God, that's brilliant. And I think that's a great way to end the series, where it's just like this floating. Oh, that's so good. Great. I love that so much. Absolutely. Oh man. Okay. So bam. That's what a jam is like. Session 1, setting 1, knocked out. You have a playground to play in now, which is great. I bet Daniel would even enjoy things, and he doesn't enjoy things very often.
Well, he would definitely have issue with the FTL communication.
Obviously. Yeah. Of course he would, Courtney, but that's why and you know what? Daniel doesn't listen to the podcast. We can shit talk him all we want on this episode. Clark, get it in now while you can.
Which, just as a side note for people who are building their own stuff, if you are going to do FTL, information is the most manageable, like least broken, that you can do without having to. It'll let you take a minor shortcut that most people aren't even going to think about.
Daniel will definitely think about it, though.
Daniel definitely will. You'll have the hardcore sci-fi people who will definitely think about it. But for the most part, it's a nice shortcut that will let you kind of skip over that, have intergalactic while still being able to have these localized places, and can lead to some very interesting things. If you want to get into time delay, that is another issue. So we could make it so there's no FTL information travel here, and these people are just waiting, and they have been waiting for generations, and then they get the signal of just like, the stakeholders have all reviewed, and at this time it is not worth the investment necessary to come debug your system.
Oh God.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. So we've got another jam session, another setting that we're going to be rolling. So of course we roll the genre. Clark, Courtney, I'm so glad that it's you two here because we're talking dark fantasy.
Good.
The theme with this particular dark fantasy is going to be... Really?
What
you gotta do death and dark fantasy?
That's like cheating.
That's too easy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I would say we keep it and then roll the first thing that we're focusing on, which is a cataclysm.
Okay.
So we've got dark fantasy. We've got death. We've got a cataclysm. Here's the first thing that comes to mind. The land of the living and dead, that thin wall that separates the two of them, no longer exists. Some cataclysm happened, and now spirits of every kind walk and mingle with the mortals that they once were. When you die, you don't leave the plane. You just linger on as a ghost.
Yeah, that was basically my idea too, to like something occurred that brought back all the dead, and maybe they aren't like all nice ghosts. Maybe there's some that are just like skeletons or like corpses with flesh hanging off of them to really drive in the dark fantasy aspects. Got like a lot of grime and grossness.
Some real Black Cauldron vibes to it is what I'm hearing.
Good name drop. I really like both of those. Where I'm sitting right now is I've been messing with a number of videos lately where I take magic system archetypes and then I break down the trope and talk about like what the essential components are and then how you can change it to subvert the trope. So that's sort of what I'm thinking through here. I would really like that, what you guys are talking about, as the end state. but I want to see if we can subvert it, because cataclysms are usually massive death and destruction, right?
Yeah.
So what if we could kind of reverse it, where this is a land that is like not necessarily dead, but just sort of static. Everybody and the things that live there just don't really live. They just exist there. And then all of a sudden there's this shift where like your permanence is no longer viable, and you shift to being alive, where one that can be if you look at it from where you have existed, and then all of a sudden you fall asleep, you wake up, you have amnesia, and then you can actually die and stop existing, or at least then you shift into a spirit form. So maybe I'm talking about pre-life, but just I would be interested in seeing if we could make it so that the occurrence of life as we understand it, of life and death as we understand it, that is the cataclysm.
Okay.
How about this? Life as a I love the idea of life as a cataclysm. Maybe this is the result of the heroes triumphing in some way, right? Like the heroes are on this major quest and they're all following the god of life, and they find an artifact, they do a ritual, and they're like, we're going to bestow, crazy positive energy and life energy throughout the universe. And they do. And as a result, everything that was dead comes back, like whether it be substantial or insubstantial, ethereal or corporeal, what have you. And so they're like, with them having the best of intentions, they have created a cataclysm worse than anything that their villains or their enemies could do on their own.
Oh yeah, okay. So maybe like the god of life had been injured in some way, and that was what was causing this like stasis type situation that was going on. And then the heroes, like you said, did their essentially mass resurrection type thing, and we're like, whoops, we did that a little too strong.
I have an idea.
Because now everything's back.
That I want to float out to you guys and see how you feel about it.
Toss it out, Clark.
So what if what happens is when this ritual or this victory gets completed, because part of what my brain is jumping around between a bunch of things, but here I'm going to toss it out there. What if what happens is everything gains life?
Oh, yeah.
That's actually really horrifying.
All of our inanimate objects, the terrain, the water, now everything is alive.
Oh, that's awful. I hate that. So that's what we're going with.
Even like ideas. So like ideas are alive and moving and doing things.
Oh, damn.
Oh, I double hate that now.
Yeah.
That's not a life you can live. If you're like, hold on. Okay. In some of that, you like, how do you breathe? If you're trying to like actively suck in air that's trying to escape your lungs, or if your blood is alive and it's like trying to escape your body and go find a job somewhere, cyberpunk, by the way, how is that? That's not a tenable world. We need to add some restrictions, so it's not just like everything is. Oh God, no, that's awful.
Alive doesn't mean independent, for one.
True.
So like that may just mean that everything turns into a symbiotic relationship, and that can go multiple ways, where now, depending on how you look at it, living is nothing but constant death. Or
like that.
Living is nothing but like constant compromise in relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Like if you have to be super careful about even like the things you say or think, because the minute you like put a thought down onto paper, those words come alive in some way. So communicate.
This is truly dark fantasy. This is like such a nightmare hellscape. I just want to float this name out there because you know how I feel about names. When I think of a cool name, I got to toss it out there. I love this idea, When the Mountains Scream, because that's what they're doing. They're alive and they're like, ow, you're climbing on me. Ow, the pittance hurt. Stop it. Like there's a lot to it. That is horrifying. I fucking love that so much.
I also think it would be so, I mean, yes, there's a horrifying aspect to it, especially if you look at how we're living our lives now. But at the same time, that would lead to some incredibly interesting stuff where when you're doing anything, when you're trying to craft something, you're trying to sail, you're trying to climb mountains, everything becomes a conversation and a relationship. So things like the home field advantage aren't just an advantage. It's like, no, the land here is our ally. So watch yourself.
Yeah,
Of course, that allows you to like make deals and be betrayed by your own like village in some ways. And by that I mean like that the village huts themselves are like,
yes,
we're sick of this. You haven't thatched our roofs in ages, you know, like you're fucked.
None of you are leaving. You're dying. New people will move in.
God.
Yeah, I love that because it brings
or even
like
just stuff like betrayed by your blood, or there could be interesting things where like you're terribly wounded and you have some kind of spiritual conversation with your blood about please don't leave.
Yeah. Yeah, it brings in this really cool aspect of like rituals and stuff like that where you're trying to like give honor to the thing that you want to like gain something from. Like the idea of climbing a mountain, what if you like have to literally bring offerings to the mountain so that it actually allows you to climb up it? Things like that.
Offerings that are also alive and like actively counter offering the mountain at the same time.
Trying to like bribe you to not,
So it's, I don't know. I'm loving this because it's both incredibly dark, but it could also lead to some incredibly like beautiful and inspiring situations and relationships between people and between things.
Yeah, no, my brain just goes dark with it. Like I'm thinking about like falling in love with an idea, literally falling in love with an idea that you have that's been given form. Like there's just so much that can go horribly, horribly wrong in this particular set. Like the implications, Clark. We always talk about the implications, and the implications here are too much for me.
Speaking of things going horribly wrong, should we toss in a twist?
Oh, Lord.
Should we hold off?
One more thing before we do. Just some things that might rein this in is what I would do if I was like building this up as a world or as a magic system is I would do regional controls. So maybe different areas of the world brings life to different things. So you aren't having to deal with all of these challenges everywhere all the time, but different regions bring different challenges.
Yeah,
so
that's a good idea.
You go to the living mountains, the terrain is alive. If you go to the plains of thought, you got to be careful what you think and say.
That's really cool because it makes it less
regionality works.
Yeah, it makes it a bit less oppressive to approach as a environment.
Ooh, I like that. Of course, it makes exploration horrifying.
Yeah,
like if you're walking and all of a sudden you're entering like the valley where your guts come out, it's like, oh Lord, what's going on, you know, like or it's like you enter this valley and your blood's like, hey, we're sick of this shit and we want out, and they're like just blood starts pouring out of your orifices. It's like that's terrible. I hate that.
Well, and that combined with just how alien you could make some of these things, so that can turn into this whole thing where you have people who specialize in conversations with different types of entities. Like your land speakers are like, if you need to talk with the land, like I know how to talk and I know how to listen. You want to bring me along.
That's really cool.
I know how to talk to your internal organs. Trust me, you'll want me along.
That's what doctors are now. They just like communicate with your body instead of slicing
their body speakers.
Yeah. Look, you're not allowed to have fatty foods for the next 4 weeks. That's the deal, okay? Okay. You're absolutely right, Courtney. We need to roll a twist. Let's see what we got going on here. And the twist for this one is now add in some robots. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. I got it. Daniel's not here. So obviously we're shit talking, but what does Daniel always do? This twist needs to do something that subverts the rest of the world, the kind of the setting, the pre-established setting that we have here, right? So with that being said, these robots are truly the only things that cannot be alive. So their component parts don't come alive. They are like the one thing that and you know, after a while, I imagine that people kind of get used to this world, but then all of a sudden this truly unliving thing comes through. That is terrifying to that particular set of people. And so maybe that's what we're talking about here. Maybe they're like some big bad or like some big weird alien force that is like breaks all the rules in the universe to them.
Mm-hmm.
So something I want to throw out about that, regardless of where this comes from, that is brilliant on multiple levels, even right down to the origin of the word robot, right? Which you, depending on how hoity-toity you get about your sci-fi, you may or may not know that originates from a word meaning slave. What this means is if they're not alive, they don't have choice. They are just programming. So they are the only thing in the world that can't be negotiated with and can't change what it does.
They're the Borg, but like cooler.
They are a slave to whatever their programming is. Literally.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. I really like that.
But at the same time, I guess they can't be influenced by all of these living things because they themselves
would be
are
horrifying.
Yeah.
Especially imagine like you have a thought and you're like, that thought is like, we can negotiate with them. And then the robots are like, nah, get fucked. And then they erase that thought. Oh my God, these things are the Terminators. They can't be reasoned with. Dear God.
Well, yeah. I mean, you may even have a hero who's like, so I won this battle by having a conversation with the enemy's armory before we stepped in the ring.
There you go.
Came to an agreement with his weaponry, and that was it. And they can't do that.
Right.
And that's this terrifying thing where anything, going back to the Borg, anything that gets assimilated or tied into the robots loses its life, which is where we can bring the robots could be a big part of a second cataclysm. It's like the big historical cataclysm was the abundance of life. The robots could be like a second cataclysm.
This is the new war. You know what it is? This is the trilogy after the trilogy that establishes the setting, right? So it's like you've got the prequels, which is like, oh, giga life everywhere. Oh no, it's horrible. Then the trilogy proper, which is like, oh, we've got a quest. And then after they've run out of ideas, all right, fuck it, throw in robots. And then that's where but it's like actually well done,
This also seems like a good opportunity for some body horror, Clark. Like if whatever the robots assimilate becomes, part of them, part of their sort of unliving self, then they could do a lot with human flesh and such.
Those are just Phyrexians though, at that point, like
I was keeping a lot of it to myself, but just everything being alive is just by itself an abundance of body horror. Because
exactly.
Horrifying.
Can you imagine a tree that comes to an agreement with blood?
Oh no. Okay, yeah, we're moving on.
Or like imagine trying to eat anything.
You can't.
You just feel like shit.
Imagine the food making a deal with your teeth. Like, stop it. Yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're moving on. Because like I said, once you start the implication, it starts to get too horrible.
And that's where if we were building this world in earnest, we would need to draw some of those lines. Like, it could be something of like, there's a limit to the components of your bodies, like how individual it gets and that kind of thing. You can build some of that in, so maybe your teeth can't rebel, but there's something about blood so that it can.
I hate this so much.
Or it could depend on like the health of your body.
Hopefully you hate it in a good way, though.
Almost, yeah. By the way, I'm very excited for this setting because, like, as horrible as it is, like, I was afraid that we were going to be going in like an Elden Ring / Dark Souls situation, and then we just veered off to the left, and like this is so much better and so much more interesting. You probably can't really write a whole book series about it, but I don't care. It's a great concept.
There would be plot holes everywhere.
Oh my God, huge. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, you could maybe it depends on like the health of your body parts, like how connected they are to you essentially. So like if you have a tooth that starts to rot, then it can kind of go rogue and do whatever it wants.
How attached to that kidney are you? You don't know. Not really.
Or even just making it so that there's the potential for anything to come alive, and you combine that with the regional stuff so that like it's just something you have to be aware of. It's like, well, your stomach seems to be upset. Is it just like something you ate, or is your stomach upset?
Like actually upset?
Is
like,
it something you ate or something you said? God, I hate this world in the best way possible. We could literally keep talking about like everything. Also, imagine how the magic might work where like you're casting sentience onto something within like the person. Like, no. Okay, we're moving on. we've got the energy. I feel like we can do one more setting for the gym. How do y'all feel?
I think so, yeah.
Let's go.
Good.
Clark, are you ready?
I know we're moving on, but I was having thoughts about like combinations of things from Perdido Street Station and like the Black Company, where it could be just like events and like life storms and stuff like that. And that's what like brings those sweeping changes. So it's incredibly disruptive, and there's lots of protection and guards you have to put in place so that you at least can kind of limit what it influences. And
anyway. So the final world building jam, Clark's first session. We're all excited. We got high energy. The genre that we're going to be focusing on is, we've got urban fantasy. Great. Okay. So a little, very different actually than the dark fantasy that we were just focusing on. The theme that we're going to be focusing on is something forbidden. And then the first thing that we're going to be focusing on in this modern fantasy world is someone really important to the setting.
Okay.
So, Courtney, why don't you kick us off? Who is someone really important to this modern fantasy setting with a theme of something forbidden?
I'm going to say that it is a child who has discovered a Ouija board or something to that effect that actually can contact the paranormal or the supernatural.
I like that. So what is so forbidden about that exactly?
I guess how fantastical do we want to get with this urban fantasy? Like, are there
the question?
Yeah, are there like knowingly like fairies and stuff running around in the world, or is it kind of like secret and split off, or what?
So the first thought I have is because of just stuff I've been reading and stuff that I love to death. Is, I don't know, I'm liking the idea of if the urban fantasy was set, and then what this child does is they touch on like a forbidden realm. Like if we were talking Dresden Files, this child did a Ouija board ritual that put them in touch with the outsiders.
Oh boy, yeah,
something to that effect.
That's very dark. By the way, Courtney has only just started the Dresden Files, so try and she's very sensitive about spoilers. So don't tell her about the outsiders, Clark. That's what I'm trying to say.
That is a name of a group, and they do things.
Spoilers.
Yeah, you don't know shit about the outsiders. Whether they walk before or after or side to side, you don't know what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
And Clark gets that, and Courtney doesn't, and that's what I love about it. Anyway.
But yeah, I do like that idea that it's like a sort of typical urban fantasy world, but then something much darker and more dangerous has been inadvertently contacted. Of course, it's darker and
more dangerous. Of course, I forget who I'm jamming with.
Well, why would it be forbidden?
What else? Yeah, is it going to be like fucking like nice angel people who like come down and give you like flowers and
fucking
shit?
Maybe it doesn't have to be blood. It doesn't like kill your parents, says the Ouija board. Like it doesn't always have to be that way.
You open up a doorway to the dimension of like adorable kittens or something.
Yeah, maybe it's like there's too much joy, and then that's why it's forbidden. Is because it's like, this is actually dangerous because it's like the sex robots from Futurama where everyone gets distracted too much. I don't know.
Yeah, the animals are too cute and it just distracts everybody. Stuff starts to shut down because there aren't enough people focusing on real things.
I'm just trying to not swerve directly into your bingo card, okay, Courtney? I'm just trying to throw out some stuff.
So then why do you want it to be forbidden then, Rob? What is it that you want to be forbidden about what this child did?
You know what? I'm sitting here trying to make things lighter and happier after we just rolled Death Dark Fantasy in a fucking cyberpunk world where everything's shitty.
No,
so okay. Like maybe I'm just trying to make things nicer here.
Let's have fucking adorable puppies that get loosed upon the world. Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
So what if we started with a dark urban fantasy?
Okay.
And what happens is this kid actually performs a ritual that starts letting light and hope through.
Mm-hmm. Things start to turn into like Lisa Frank.
And the things that
Was
control
it that hard?
Well, we just did like a big subversion for the last one, so I wasn't sure if we wanted to do another major subversion.
You know what? The fact that we're subverting the subversion is the subversion, all right? So it's fine. Okay. God damn it. Okay. Maybe we don't have to make it inherently fucking jizz all over yourself happy, right? Maybe we can just have it be like happy but sinister. Maybe it's like a Pet Cemetery type situation where it's forbidden because it's fucking up the fabric of reality, but it's still causing joy and they're using their power for good or something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to not swerve directly into the blood fountain.
Well, and I wasn't trying to go as far as Lisa Frank either. It could just be something where it is a very dark, oppressive, controlled setting.
Yeah.
And what this child unlocks, it's something that is being controlled and forbidden by the people in control.
I like that idea.
That does start to let hope for like freedom and agency and stuff like that through.
Yeah, so we're in like a 1984 like fascist kind of thing where like people heads down doing their work, but all of a sudden you got like something fun and joyful running around.
How about we make it literal? How about like the world that we're stuck in here is a constant frozen hellscape, ice, snow, whatever, and this ritual, this kind of power is unlocking literal warmth to the world.
That's good. I was thinking maybe sunlight if you wanted to do a whole thing, because people are always like, well, why aren't the vampires in control? You could do a world where the vampires are in control and it's a world of darkness, to name drop another franchise. But they could actually be letting warmth and sunlight through, which would be devastating to the people in control.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm picturing like slivers of sunlight leaking through wherever these sort of holes open up. You all of a sudden have like a flash of sunlight and vampires get burned from that.
And remember, it's because of a Ouija board. I want to make sure that we don't drop that original concept that the Ouija board is still responsible for letting in this warmth and sunshine.
Okay. So on that, I'm wondering if we can shift it from a Ouija board a little bit, because a Ouija board specifically is about communication with something. Could the Ouija board be kind of like a interdimensional combination lock?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, like it's been hidden as a child's toy, but it's like a powerful wizard is like, how can I make sure that this doesn't fall into enemy hands? Oh, put it in a dumb.
It's like the Cinnabite puzzle box, but reverse.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's basically like Jumanji, sort of.
Ooh. Wait, but no, reverse Jumanji, because good things come out of the Jumanji this time. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Now I'm thinking, can we make it so it's like there's a number of board games that like are involved here, so it's not just Parker Brothers Ouija boards?
Yes, I like that. Or like a magic 8 ball. You shake it up and whatever the result is has an effect.
Okay, so
that's another one. Yes.
We're focusing on this person, right? So this child, maybe they started with the Ouija board, and they have now started a game company that produces these magical games.
Or maybe they stumbled on like an abandoned toy store, and that's how it started. Like they were just kind of messing around in there. That's where the Ouija board originally was, and then they found other things in storage, and then it spread into this like actual company.
Yeah, this kid grows up, learns how to start making their own, and they have to do this whole like underground shell thing because all of these games are outlawed.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest Santa Claus origin story that I've ever heard of in my life. But I love it. Like I really find this to be fascinating. Like it's definitely like subverting all the expectations, because this is also a setting about family. And what I love about this is like, you might be playing with a magic 8 ball, and then all of a sudden it's like glowing with the power of a sun, and you're annihilating Count whatever the fuck his name is of like the Black Court. And it's like, get fucked. Like, guess what? It was definitely that you were going to die today, Count fuck off. You know, like that's what we're going with. Oh man.
Yeah. Or even just a mundane thing, right? They're messing with this toy and they have enough warmth to heat up their home in just this frigid wasteland.
Yes.
Where it's always cold.
Ooh, it's a top. you spin it and it just keeps spinning and it generates heat. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
And that's such a fun subversion of these like cute little innocent things. And
Yeah, agreed. I like that.
Bam. There we go. Look at that. Was that so hard? Was that so hard, you guys?
It was, Rob.
Jesus.
It was
Literally
very
impossible.
difficult.
Yeah.
God damn it.
We had to start with our instincts and then subvert them. All right. That means we had to start with them so that we could change them.
Mhm.
I swear that if I roll this twist and it's go super dark with it, we're just ending the show right here. Okay.
No, we're too deep in it now. Even if the twist is dark, we got to bring it around.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
All right. Let's see what we got. Let's see what the twist is. And our twist for this wonderful world of urban fantasy: war is sports. In a certain way, we've kind of already established that, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be like using my skip it, and that's going to be like some kind of like a weapon where it's like, yeah, no, I'm using the toys to commit war against vampires, right?
Yeah.
What I heard is that we just had an urban fantasy Yu-Gi-Oh pop up.
Ooh, don't you dare.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so down with that. You have no idea.
Mhm.
I feel like that idea I want to preserve that. I just want to like end the episode now and preserve that beautiful concept that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. Yeah, I run the show. Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Nailed.
That's the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Great.
good work, Clark. You did it.
Yeah, great job. I hope you had fun on your first full jam session, Clark. I know I did.
Mhm.
Always do.
Always. Remember that if you want to submit prompts to us and have us build your world, you can always go to our website, worldbuildwithus.com, click on the link, and within a reasonable amount of time, we'll be building your world. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at Let's Worldbuild. If you want to come join our Discord, you can find the link for that in the description. Come chat to us about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever. It's fine. And of course, if you're feeling particularly generous, you can always go to our Patreon and give us money there, where you'll get access to sweet Patreon-only episodes, among some other goodies and stuff like that. With all of that out of the way, Clark, you got to hit us with the pluggables before we exit this episode. So, Clark, where can people find you and your stuff?
So you can find me at crrowanson.com or on YouTube as The Magic Engineer, where I talk about magic systems all the time. So please do follow, like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, share. Well, actually, most importantly, enjoy. Second, most importantly, is share.
All right. And with all of the shilling out of the way, that's going to do it for this episode of World Build with Us. Remember that we love you very much, and we're going to get through this together. Until next week.